All right, it's time for another studio vlog, and this is studio vlog 10. And it only took me 2.5 years to get here, but we're not going to talk about the things that did or did not get done in the last 2 years. We're just going to kind of move forward, right? Good. In today's studio vlog, it's going to be mostly about stamp carving and some other random things that went on in my studio in the last couple of weeks. But one of the stamps that I carved, I'm really excited about because it is the studio vlog stamp. It's not really a logo stamp, but it says studio vlog on it. And I had carved the original stamp about, well, 2.5 years ago when I first did my studio vlog. And it was quick and quirky and casual, and I wasn't going to get too caught up in how it was made or how it looked, how it turned out. I wanted it to be sort of casual and quirky, but I didn't want it to stop me from producing videos. So I felt like if I got really consumed with getting the right stamp made, that I wouldn't produce the video. So now's the perfect time to redo the studio vlog stamp. So that's what I'm going to focus on today too. I'm also going to do a leafy, branchy stamp that I carved. I really like it. I think it has a lot of potential for surface pattern design, stamping in my journals, playing with it. And I'm also going to share with you some carving processes that are just really casual and loose. And you're going to find out that one of them didn't turn out so great, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. And finally, I'm going to share some watercolor play, because in between shooting videos and carving stamps, sometimes I just like to pull my watercolors out and move paint and water around and see what happens. And you might find it interesting, you might find it inspiring, but that's what's been going on around here. So let's go see what I've been up to. The first step after you've sketched out your design is to transfer it to your rubber material. It's been sketched out with a number 2 pencil on some tracing paper, and I'm going to just find the right spot. I'm probably just going to use the corner here, and I can see through the tracing paper where I'm lined up, and then I'm just going to use a piece of tape to put it in place before I start burnishing it. That way it won't move when I burnish it. And I'm going to just use this plastic bone folder. You can use a spoon, you can use all kinds of things. Popsicle stick. And just make sure that you get the whole thing covered. One of the advantages of having the tape in place is you can lift up and see how well you're doing, and you won't lose your spot. That's good enough, and I can actually come back in here with more pencil and just fill it in the places that need a little bit more attention. One of the important things you have to do when carving stamps like this, obviously, is you need to make sure that you do use tracing paper to transfer your design, because just writing directly on the rubber material, and then if you were to carve that out and stamp it, it would be in reverse or mirrored, and you don't want to do that. So another thing too is you can't erase off of the rubber material, so keep that in mind. So I know that I want to leave the words as the positive space, and I'm going to remove the background, make that the negative space. And the border, I'm just going to keep as a solid border to start. But if I decide I don't like it, I'll come in and split the 2 lines and make it look more interesting. But we're going to see how it looks after I carve it, because I can always come back in and take a little bit more away. Okay, so I've got it transferred to the rubber material, and I'm going to use my little box as a riser. And I put a little piece of cardstock on here, my very well-loved piece of cardstock, so that way I can turn this easy as I'm carving it. The thing about carving stamps is you turn the rubber material as you carve. You don't turn your blade, and this just facilitates that, makes it much easier. So I'm going to start by removing the area around the letters, and I'm going to try to go a little bit wider than what I have sketched out here. It's going to be difficult in places like this, but if I go a little bit wider, it gives me more room for error. We'll see how this goes. So now I'm just going to use this big blade to kind of grab a few areas. This is a number 2 V-shaped blade, just to kind of remove some of the extra noise, I guess. It probably would not get picked up by the ink, but I'm gonna just, some of it will, some of it won't, but I just want to give it a chance to look a little bit neater so I know exactly what I'm working with. And also, I try not to worry too much about what's deep down inside because sometimes it's just not worth it. But if you're a perfectionist, go right ahead. So here I've cleaned it up a little bit, but not completely. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a test print and see what I want to keep and what I want to take away. Clearly there's a lot of outside edges that need to be removed. That's going to be decided as I go along, but the best way to decide that is to take a test print. But before that, I'm going to remove some of these crumbs with my kneaded eraser so that they don't all end up in my ink pad. Okay, so ultimately I am going to put glue on the back of this so that I can use it on my acrylic mount like I've shown you in the other videos, but I'm not ready to do that yet. So what I'm going to do is just ink it up right now, and I could put a piece of double stick tape on it and attach it to that big acrylic mount, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do a very rough print, and I'm going to do that with just an index card. I wonder if this will fit. Yikes! With just an index card, and I'm going to do block printing style, I guess. And this will give me a good enough idea on what I need to remove. It's not going to be a perfect print, but it'll be good enough. I actually like that a lot. What I'll do is I don't know, I like it a lot. I might take away some of this here, but I like that little piece there, some of these other little specks, but I like the elongated, scratchy outlines. I'm going to try to keep some of those, and I think for now, I'm going to leave it solid. I'm going to leave the border solid. Yeah, because I can always come back in later and remove it. But right now, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm going to just do a little bit more cleaning up, and then I will put the glue on the back side of the stamp, let that dry, and then I'll be able to mount it onto my acrylic mount. And then I'll get a much better impression. All right, so I didn't take away too much, but I'm going to put some glue on the back so that I can mount this on my acrylic mount. And I'm going to use this two-way glue by Zig Kuretake. When it dries without coming in contact with anything, it makes it repositionable. Cover the whole thing, and then when it dries, it's clear like this, and it goes right on your acrylic mount. And I keep them stored, my stamps stored, on a page protector with cardstock and an index, so I know where my stamps are and where they need to go when I'm done using them. I did a whole video on this, so watch it. It's coming very soon for a 2-Minute Tuesday video. Okay, so it's dry, and you can tell because it's clear, and it doesn't come off on my hands. And now it's repositionable. And I think it should work really well, but I'm going to give it another little go around with my kneaded eraser and make sure I get all of the extra crumbs out. An important tip, whenever you're inking a stamp, if you ink it with the impression side facing you and then you ink with your pad and then ink on top of it this way, that way you can always see where you're getting the ink or where you're not getting the ink. And as I like to say, when you think you have enough ink, add a little bit more. This is about as big of a stamp as I like to use. Once they get to be too big, they're a little bit too cumbersome to handle, and they don't really even become a stamp anymore. They become more of a block print. And of course, I want to make sure that I get even pressure all the way across the whole stamp. So it takes a little bit of pressure. I'm happy with it. I like the scratchiness. I'm going to leave it for now. Stamping on this index card, you can see that it's kind of a rough surface. And since this is kind of a rough impression, I'm going to stamp it on some marker paper and it will look better. This is the marker paper I'm going to use. I love it. It works well. I like because it's lightweight and it works well for collage. Make sure there's, actually, I'm going to make sure that the surface underneath my paper is as smooth as it can be. Don't do that. But it happens. So there you, and now we get to see, yeah, you know, it happens. So it's a clearer impression, although a botched one, but you can clearly see the difference in the two styles of paper. And also you can see here, there's a little dot right here on the S. And that is because right here on my S, I have a little piece of something. That's why the kneaded eraser is always a good idea. So let's try this again and see if we can get a really good print. Much better. Much better. So I'm very happy with it. I like how bold it is. Clearly the letters are not as thin as when I sketched it out, but I can always come back in later and kind of thin the letters out a little bit, but I'm going to live with it for a while. I kind of like it. It's definitely better than this. Yeah, much better. This leafy, branchy stamp, I can't think of anything else to call it, turned out to be one of my favorites, and I think it has a lot of potential for pattern, for play, for landscapes, and I was really pleased with it. Did I say that already? I think I did. So when I carved this stamp, I first sketched out with just a pencil several different leafy, branchy, kind of palm frond, not really palm frond, I guess, maybe tropical. I don't know what it is. And I was just going in this direction, obviously. And I enjoyed that. And I was like, okay, I want to kind of push it a little bit further. So I pulled out. So this is a, I don't know how to say it, Koh-i-Noor Hartmuth, I don't know. And Hartmuth, I don't know. Somebody help me out. Trio color, and this is basically a black colored pencil, but it's really thick in diameter. And so it gave me a chance to explore these leaves in a sorry, pardon the pun, a broader way. But it was what I was looking for, to kind of push it a little bit and see if I wanted to find a different way to express drawing these. And then I did another page. This is the one I ended up doing. I don't really know why I picked that one. I was just drawn to it. It had symmetry, but a little bit of interest here because this leaf on top is small and scraggly, and I like how that turned out on the stamp itself. But you know, I like all of these. I could carve all of them to be happy. I thought about carving more of this style of stamp, but I just didn't feel it, and I'll probably for sure come back to that and use something like this as well to kind of explore it some more and see what other ways I can make it more interesting before I carve the stamp. So I'm really glad I used this pencil. It helped me find the style I was looking for. And basically, this is really easy to draw. And all I do is I just start at the bottom, and you can start at the bottom or the top. I say I start at the bottom. I sometimes start at the top. And I just kind of, this is a whole different style of leaf here, but you get the idea. And when you do a whole page of them, they do start to have similarities, and you get the hang of it. Let me start at the top on this one. And it's very soothing to just kind of practice it over and over again. So you get the idea. So I'm here this morning in my studio, and it's sunny and cold, but I have my tea, have my hand warmers, and I woke up this morning very excited about carving something, and I wanted to do something really kind of scratchy and something with a lot of lines. And so this is what I came up with, and I'll show you how I got inspired for that. But something along these lines. This stamp I carved probably 2004. And I carved it on Speedy Cut by Speedball. I even carved on the other side, or I think my kids did. And I just love it. I don't use it very often, but I want to do something in this style. And also I got really inspired too, because a couple months ago I ordered a calendar from Deborah Velasquez, and she enclosed this little card, and I was just like, I love this so much. So I keep this in my eye view in my studio because I just adore it. So I want to do something with a lot of lines. I went to look on my Google Photos, and I saw this picture of these carrots from my son and his girlfriend's farm at the farmer's market last summer. And I was really inspired. And so I thought, wow, maybe I'll sketch those out and see what I come up with. And I did. I just played with them a little bit. This is my first one. And I just let myself be really loose and not think about really the whole picture, just focus in on a little part of it. And I just started drawing these carrot shapes, and I just love how they look. And I thought, wow, I want to do something like this, and I want to carve them, and I want to maybe give them a lot of lines inside vertically or going along with the outside shape, and move it inward and have some movement inside, I think. I'm not sure, so I'm going to play with this and see what I come up with. I already know I want to carve this one because it's just, which is the very first one that I drew. I just want to carve that and see what happens. So I'm going to do that one first. I'm going to clean it off a little bit This is from a cosmetic brush compact I had years ago. Clever, right? And now I'm just going to take away some of the inside space and see what happens. I'm just going to go with it in a more relaxed, natural feel and see what happens. I can already see it's starting to look like fire, and I don't really want that. So I might I don't know. So I'm cleaning up my desk before I take a test print because this particular product is very crumbly and I don't want those crumbs getting on my ink pad or anywhere else. They kind of multiply. I really like that. It actually turned out better than I expected. So what I'm probably going to do, I'm pretty sure I'm going to do, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to remove this outside positive space and then just go right up to, yeah, see, I'm going to leave this white line and leave a little bit of a black line. Actually, since I've been playing with the stamp, before I remove the outside, I'm going to stamp with it on a big pattern and see what happens, just to play. We'll see. It's okay. I don't know. I'm just, yeah. I mean, I could finish filling up the page. I guess. I don't know. It's not speaking to me. I think that's the biggest thing. It's just not. And now I'm even looking at it, wondering if I'm even going to like the stamp when I carve out the negative space, the positive space on the outside. So I'm going to remove it and see if I even like the stamp at all. I'm feeling concerned. So here I've taken a white Posca pen and I've gone around the outside. It looked like this, and I wanted to see if I was going to be going in the direction that I wanted with this stamp. And I think I am. I think I'll like it. I want something abstract, so I'm enjoying the abstract process of this. So I'm taking this too literal to represent something like carrots or leaves, and I need to just let go of that. To remove in here. And a little bit here. I think I'm gonna just, I don't know. Just be bold and do something like this, because right now I'm just not feeling it. I might need to stop though, I might ruin it. Just want to give it a little bit of interest, and I'm not sure where that interest is. can always cut that away if I don't like it. I don't know. I'm not sure about this stamp at all, but I'm going to give it a test print and see. All right, I've cleaned it up a little bit. I've just kept it really rough and edgy, and actually I see something I want to take off really fast before I ink it up. I do want to remove some of this down here. That bottom there, I think I just want to take that out. And just, yeah, kind of break it up a little bit. I might, like, also here, I think I'm going to break this up here. I don't know why. Random. Okay, now I'm going to ink it up and see. And, you know, I may not like it. I may not like it at all, and that's okay. I can use it to stamp out textures for backgrounds, for collage. I've been wanting to do some cut paper collage, and I need a lot of textured painted papers for that. Actually, I kind of like it. It's interesting. I'm not used to using the big number 2 blade, and so these cuts are very bold, but I need to practice them. It's interesting. Okay, so since I didn't like this one, I mean, I'm just not in love with it, and I thought about removing some parts of it. And I took my Posca pen and I tried to remove some parts of it to see if I took away some pieces of the stamp, like trying to round off the edges, the pointy ends, so that it didn't look so much like a flame. And that's kind of interesting. I might probably go in that direction, but I just decided to start over and carve another stamp in this style. So I just sat down and I just carved, and I thought I was filming, and I'm sorry I was not. But yeah, I just carved this one, and I'm going to see how it looks. It's already more interesting to me, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to be happier with it than I was with the other one. Much more interesting to me. And I think it's because of the blade size. I think the big blade is a tricky one. The big, thick V shape. This is much more interesting to me. I'm very excited about this. See, now this excites me. This makes me very happy. It doesn't look anything like carrots, though. Not even a little bit. Okay, so I'm very happy with this stamp, and I stamped on my index cards, which I use all the time, and you can see how convenient they are. And I just started playing with the design and stamping it in different patterns, and I decided to stamp out some large sheets of different patterns going in different ways, and it was so much fun. This one I didn't fill in because I just kind of liked how it had this edge here, but I like the movement of it. So I'm just really happy with this stamp. So I'm really glad I persevered and I found the design that made me happy. So in between big projects like filming and editing or other projects, after I check my accomplishment off my list, I reward myself with some playtime, such as this watercolor session that I recently had, where I just explored with no expectations, and this is what I made. So I started with a couple of mixed media watercolor sketchbooks, mixed media sketchbooks by Canson, a couple of different sizes, and then I had them ready to go. And I also had a couple of loose sheets of watercolor paper, but I just started moving the paint around with the water. This one was coming along kind of nice, but it really got interesting when I added the black paint right through the wet, already blue and pink that was laid down. And it's wet on wet technique, and it just made it come to life and give it so much more drama and interest. And then I started playing with the loose sheets of watercolor, because what happens is when these are drying, you want to start working on other things too. And I don't want to wait for things to dry. I want to keep making. And circles are a fantastic, easy, no think about it way to just jump in and start moving paint around. And you can do it while some of them are still wet, or you can wait till some of the layers dry and then do circles on top of those. And it's just a great exploration process. I don't know what's going on here, but this kind of scares me a little bit. Definitely going to be getting rid of this one. I'm thinking doing something like that. Maybe some of this. And the rest of it may not survive, and that's okay. And I wanted to start introducing some neutrals. So I brought in a kind of a taupey gray or a green gray, and I brought in a brown or a beige. It just didn't work. This doesn't do anything for me, but I did enjoy the process. So it's hard when you get to this point and you want to make sure that you're enjoying the process, but not judging how it turns out. So again, you can salvage some of these pieces if you're interested in it. I don't know. You could always add more too, which I've done many times. Again, more circles. Starting to explore with some black. This was yellow and black, and it made this beautiful green, and I don't really know. There's nothing about what this is supposed to be. It's just for the process and enjoying the exploration. Here you can see a little bit of the pink that got pulled into the green, which added a tremendous amount of interest. Those sort of things would be fun to sort of capture without having to hang on to, let's see if I can do this, without having to hang on to the whole piece. It's just fun to play. And then I would clean off my brushes either on my desk, which as you can see here is kind of new and doesn't have a lot on it right now, but either clean it off on my desk and clean it off on just pieces of copy paper. Because again, you're using all your paint and it's not going down the drain. And then you have fun stuff to play with. Or I think. But it's not all beautiful, and it doesn't have to be. It's just the process, and it's just the letting go and not thinking about its purpose. Because the only purpose is to just have fun. Studio vlog number 10 completed. That took a while, but I'm glad I got here. I want to say thank you so much for joining me. I really and truly appreciate it. I hope you keep coming back. And this is YouTube. You know what to do if you want to see more of my videos. And speaking of videos, I have more coming, and I will see you in the next one.